By the way, just as an administrative note, I do talk about these comics. I talk about them somewhat in detail. I'll throw spoilers out there. So if you haven't read the comics that are going to be on the taglines down below, you probably don't want to listen to this until after you've read those, or you don't care if it's spoiled for you. Okay? Anyway, on with the show. Hey, comic fans! This is another edition of Not on the Pole for the week of October 5th, 2011. First up, I want to talk about Abe Sapien, The Devil Does Not Jest, written by Mike Mignola and John Arcudia, I guess, and art by James Herron. First off, the title alone is pretty awesome. I haven't actually ever collected anything from Hellboy. I've read little bits and pieces of Hellboy stuff, but really haven't actually purchased a Hellboy comic book of any sort. I've seen the movies, enjoy the movies, like the characters from the movies, even seen some of the cartoons that were out a while ago, and I've always kind of enjoyed those. Why I've never bothered to pick it up, yeah, I don't know, to tell you the truth. So I was staring at the rack, saw this was number 1 of 2, figured, well, I can't go wrong with that, right, because it's 2 issues, you know, can't hurt myself too much with that. So I picked this one up, and I really got a kick out of it. It reads like, kind of like a lively Lovecraft story. I don't know that it needs Abe in it to tell this story. It just happens to have Abe in it. It probably could be, at this point, for me anyway, it could be just about any character that investigates the supernatural and things that go bump in the dark. You know, it was somewhat not confusing, but I maybe kind of go, okay, did I come in the middle of something? Right at the very beginning, splash page is kind of a foreshadowing of what's going to happen, you know, and then it's just suddenly him, you know, reading and doing some studying and talking to a guy. And I don't know who that guy is. I don't know who the other people are that he says hi to initially, but that doesn't really matter. Those are just people he sees in the hallway, you know, as he goes and meets the person that sends him on this little exciting mission. The art, I love the art that's in it. It's nice, it's stylized. You know, it's fun. It's got creepy things in it. At the end of it, you go, ooh, you know. If you read Call of Cthulhu type stuff, or you're a Call of Cthulhu role player, this book's right up your alley. Like I said, I got a real kick out of it. I'm looking forward to the next one. Almost makes you wonder if I should be picking up some other Hellboy things or not. We'll see. Maybe I will, and we'll talk about that at another time. Okay. Next up I want to talk about is Batwing number 2. Written by Judd Wittick and art by Ben Oliver. Of course, this was still not on my poll. I talked about it last month. I'm still really liking this comic. The art is just cool. You know, I keep hearing people say stuff about, well, there's not much to the background. I don't think there needs to be a lot of background detail on this. It's mostly about the characters. And what they have going on. You know, we get to see more of Massacre in this. We get to see how our main character survives having the machete rammed through his chest from the last issue. Yeah, we get to see a little more backstory to set up, you know, what Batman set up for him in this issue. There's some things I'm real curious about in this. Of course, last issue we saw that basically the entire police station was massacred. Well, somehow his female friend, who's a police officer, also survived. She wasn't there when the attack went down. So the only 2 people who weren't there, it seems, was our main character and this female detective. Well, there must be other people there because there's lots of shooting going on and whatnot. We get introduced to another superhero from the continent of Africa, who seems to be retired from superheroing and is now a school teacher. For some reason, Massacre's got the hots to wipe him out and chop him up. beats him up a little bit. They get into a fight. He's electrical powered superhero. He looks pretty cool in this, throwing some awesome bolts of electricity around as he starts to brawl with the guy, with Massacre. You know, it's a bloody comic. There's no sense about it. And the guy that this new hero, Thunderfall, I believe is his name. He gets his arm chopped off in this. So like I said, it's pretty brutal and it's pretty bloody. Yeah, I'm liking it. There wasn't a ton of story in this one. There's a little bit more as far as what's going on. Obviously, Massacre seems to be hunting down these people in particular. Why? We don't know that part yet. That's the interesting part as far as you know, a mystery kind of a thing going forward in the story. Lots of action, lots of cool, exciting action. I thought we get a little more character on our main character. You know, how driven he really is. I mean, you know, it's been a couple weeks since he had the machete shoved through his chest, and he's picking himself and dragging himself out to fight. I'll be curious to see how they address. You know, he's got an assistant, and he ends up shooting his assistant with some tranq darts to knock him out because the assistant doesn't want him to leave because he's still injured. So it'll be interesting to see. I hope they address how people handle, you know, being tranked out and whatnot. It'll be missing something if they don't address that in some sense. I can't imagine anybody's going to be okay with, you know, having their friend knock them out. But I'm definitely going to pick up number 3. Where I see what number 3 is like. If I'm still enjoying it into number 3, it will go on my pull list. But for right now, we'll give a third one a look at just to see what's going on with it. But like I said, I'm still really enjoying it. The art's really cool. Partially, the art and the fight scenes make it worth it at this point. It's a bloody, bloody good comic. Okay. Okay, next I want to talk about Static Shock number 2. You know, this is another one I still haven't put on my pull list. I'm still deciding whether or not what I really think of it. This comic's okay. There's some parts in it that I thought were kind of confusing. I'm not sure exactly what's going on. I feel like we missed some point somewhere along the way. But I'm going to ride it out for a little bit longer to see. I don't know if I would keep picking up this comic. My kids seem to like it. My 13-year-old and my 10-year-old seem to be enjoying it. So I guess as long as they're enjoying it, I'm going to keep picking it up. Some of the things that confused me in here, I didn't realize that Static, Virgil, his sister has a doppelganger. When did that happen? She has a doppelganger, and nobody knows who the real sister is, who the real Sharon is. So that, whereas that's interesting, but it just kind of like, oh yeah, by the way, I have a sister and my sister has a doppelganger. We don't know who's who, huh? That to me that confused me. I don't have a clue what's going on there. The first read through, I was confused by Virgil getting his arm chopped off and then it was reknitted back together again. So obviously he's got a power that allows him to just suck up a whole bunch of electricity throughout the city because it looks like there's blackout for a lot of parts of the city, and that knits his arm back together again. That's kind of cool. But that was a surprise, which is not a problem, but it's a surprise that he's got different powers than what we've seen before. It makes him interesting. But it was confusing the first time through. Like I said, and the other confusing thing was, the fact that Sharon has a doppelganger. That's just, oh yeah, by the way. Well, when did that happen? I mean, I didn't read Static Shock before. I watched some of the TV show. Is this something that I'm supposed to know about? Because if it is, I'm really confused. And for them just to kind of throw it out there for a couple pages made it even more confusing. And then both of them have some crazy dream. It's the exact same crazy dream. I don't know. To me, that was confusing. The other thing that's confusing in here is Piranha, one of the villains that's trying to be a strong boss in the New York area. Seems to be buddies with the Joker. Is it the Joker or is it I can't remember the guy's name. He's a fake Joker. That McDaniels did the artwork for on a detective run, probably I don't know, 6 months ago. There were the imposters, and there were the Jokers, and the Batman. And this guy, because Daniels is drawing and Daniels drew that, he looks the same. But I'm not sure if that's just Daniels' art style for drawing the Joker, because it looks more like his smiley face is painted on than he has a big smiley face. And he has the white. So I don't know. I'm confused on that. And if it is the Joker, I don't know. He seemed kind of like a pushover in this thing, letting Piranha kind of push him around and whatnot. And the Joker just wants to be his guns. I don't know. I'm confused by that too. So, I mean, is it the Joker or is it somebody else? If it's the Joker, I don't know. It didn't seem like the Joker that's just been portrayed in Detective Comics. So, some larger editorial staff needs to do something if this is the Joker, because it's not coming across as the Joker. It's just coming across as confusing. Or maybe it's just confusing to me because I have that prior experience with Daniels drawing these fake Jokers in a prior arc in Detective Comics before the New 52 came out. At any rate, I'm going to pick up another issue of it. I'd probably pick up another issue if my kids weren't that interested in it, just to see what the next part of it is. But I don't know. It's pretty standard and doesn't have a lot of pizzazz for me. But kids like it. What are you going to do? Anyway, that's it for this week. I'll catch you next week when I'm sure I'll have a few more comics that are on my pull. Have a good one.